Hi guys, and welcome to the Sunderland vs Port Vale match review. So Sunderland has beaten Port Vale by 2-0 in the Papa John's Stuffed Crust Trophy. So we'll now be heading through to the quarterfinals, which is very nice. Of course, it isn't our priority by any stretch, but it's always nice to get a run in, and it's a competition to get some of the youngsters some game time. And some of those youngsters, I think, should be in the first team, in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself because of tonight's performance, which I don't think was amazing by any stretch. Don't get me wrong. I'm fully aware of the caliber of opponent we took on tonight. With no disrespect to Port Vale, but it just showed the kind of players we need on the pitch on a weekend in League One to get things done. So getting into the game, so I can explain a little bit. We did have Remy Matthews in goal, who of course is or has replaced Burge, who I believe still has a bit of an eye injury after last weekend. We had a back four of McFadden. We had Willis returning as well alongside Bailey right in the middle, and Max Power again on the right hand side, who actually impressed me at right back against Hull in the second half last weekend. So I thought to myself that at least we get Max out of the centre of midfield where he doesn't do anything. I'm not going to get into him too much and dig into him because I think he's looking very good in that position. But he doesn't offer anything in the middle. Move him up to the right hand side where it forces him to get involved. And I think he might shine, and I believe he has been. I think he was very good this evening, again, against limited opposition, but you can only go up against what's in front of you, and I think he was very decent. Now, after the back four, we sort of had three banks of two. It was quite strange to work out, and at times it looked very messy, but effective somewhat. So in front of the back four, we had Dan Neil with Scowen, and then in front of those two, we had Embleton and Maguire. Then in front of those two, we had Gooch and O'Brien. So getting into the game, and for the first 45 minutes, I can't drag this review out too long to be honest with you, because it was relatively cut and dry and a relatively simple result to describe. Because from the first minute to the end of the first half, pretty much to the last minute of the first half, it was all us, but it wasn't just a case of us sitting back controlling the game. What pleased me the most wasn't even necessarily the performance; it was the attitude that everyone had. It was the high press, and it was the second any player on the pitch in any area got the ball, make a forward pass. As simple as that. And I love that attitude. The second anyone got on the ball, straight away, look up, go, move, pass, move, pass, move, pass, move. And again, that isn't to say that we were making chance after chance after chance, but we're getting down to the byline ample times, particularly with Power on the right-hand side, making triangles with Maguire. O'Brien was coming over to both sides, to both wings, and coming deep, something that Charlie White hasn't been doing, which is something I mentioned in the previous match review. Charlie White, he'll stand still and he wants everything on a plate to him, whereas O'Brien, who I've said in the previous video, I'd like us to sell him because we're not using him and he hasn't looked particularly great. But one thing he does do well is force himself to get involved, and he does make himself a nuisance. That's what we were doing straight from the off, straight away, 1-2s, Embleton getting at them. And Embleton, for me, I've said it so many times, I admire the lad, but his technical ability is ridiculous. Again, I'm not getting ahead of myself because of our opposition, but how he doesn't make our starting 11, it is beyond me. And even tonight, I don't think he had an absolutely outstanding game. It's just every now and then you see this bit of quality, his close control, his dribbling, the way the ball sticks to his feet, even on the pitch that was at the Stadium Light tonight, which, to be fair, I slag off a lot of League One pitches. It was cut up to bits, that Stadium Light pitch tonight. And some of the dribbling ability and technical ability he had on show was great. He was just walking through Port Vale players and then flicking it on, added odd shot himself, odd chance, creating things by himself. But we ended up breaking the deadlock, and it was only a matter of time, in my opinion, because we were defending well. Every time Port Vale came forward, we nicked it off them. We were going straight back at them, and that was it. That was how the game worked. And then we just held it in their off for a lot of the time. But we managed to break forward, and it was a goal that we don't see in the league at all. Straight down the middle. O'Brien makes a run in behind, which again we don't see from Charlie White, we don't see from Danny Graham, we don't see from Will Grigg. O'Brien makes a run, he gambles on a run in behind his man, and we actually have a pass that is a gamble, getting behind the man. It's not just out wide, hoof it into the box, or just randomly placed. It was actually worked, and it was purposeful. Sorry, it was a purposeful pass, and it was driven into O'Brien. Managed to place it really nicely around the keeper into the bottom right-hand corner, who was oncoming, and so that made it 1-0. And that was literally it. That was it for the first half. Yes, that goes 20 minutes in, but it was just the same repetition. We just kept hold of the ball, going forward. They'd clear it away, then we'd go at them again and again and again. And yes, again, our final ball wasn't great, but this game was just crying out for us to have a clinical striker. If we had anyone who had any sort of clinical ability, a natural striker up top, this game would have been a simple 3-4-0 game, like it should be, really. Again, with no disrespect to Port Vale, but we don't have that on the pitch. We basically had a load of wingers that were shoehorned into strikers. But like I said, Dhannoo, so energetic, and because we had O'Brien instead of Wyke, we had 11 players on the pitch. And what I mean by that is when we have power in the middle, like I've said before, it's like he hides because usually we play with 3 midfielders in the centre. He has the opportunity to hide, and he takes that opportunity every single time, which I hate about Max Power. He just drifts away, he walks around aimlessly, offers nothing in the game, like I've said a million times before. I said I wasn't going to mention it again, but I am. And Charlie White, he wanders around up top. So we may as well start these league games with 9 men because they offer nothing. Whereas we've replaced them tonight. Again, it was a bit of an experiment, but it works. With energy, youth and energy, of course. Dhannoo being the youth, replacing Power in midfield, O'Brien, and it felt like we had 11 players on the pitch again. Do you know what I mean? Again, it wasn't a class performance, but we're getting at them and we're dominating a game that we should be dominating. So then going into the second half, Neil did get brought off at half time. I think he did pick up a knock, unfortunately. Leadbitter come on. Now that did, as much as I love Leadbitter, it was sad to see the tempo drop just a little bit when Leadbitter come on because he does hold and he holds very well. But I think we kind of sank back into what we used to seeing only a little bit. But it was a case of sometimes when the ball or the pass forward was on, everyone just thought, "Oh shit, where's Leadbitter? Where's Leadbitter? Let's give it back to Leadbitter. Let's just give it him." Because that's what we do in the league. We give it to Leadbitter, he starts off attacks and he pings diagonal balls forward, which is great. But in the first half, everyone was getting involved and everyone was playing those forward passes. And we've become very reliant on Leadbitter. There was times where Scown in the first half, it would drive them. Embleton doing the same thing. But then in the second half, Leadbitter comes on. You think you've got acres of space, get at them, turn back. Where's Leadbitter? Let's give it back to him. Do you know what I mean? And it changed the sort of mentality of a lot of players. But again, it was pretty much the same old. Second half, it was exactly the same. The only time where I felt like there was a slight dip was when we brought a huge amount of substitutes on in the 70th minute. That really kind of just took the wind out of our sails because there was just so much stopping and starting. We brought on McGeady, White and Younger with 20 minutes left, and Maguire, Willis and Gooch come off. And like I say, it kind of took it out of us a little bit. It kind of evened the game. Not even the game. I think that's giving Port Vale a bit too much credit, if anything. We just weren't as relentless with our sort of attacking movement and going forward. There were several times where, don't get me wrong, McGeady just absolutely took the piss and just shown his class. Just driving at them and take on 1 or 2 men down the left-hand side to the byline, dink it across goal, just begging to be put in, and it just wasn't happening for us. We hit the post at one time. It was nearly an own goal for Port Vale. A lot of our balls were coming from the wing, but they were being well worked. They weren't just, coming in from deep and just launched aimlessly into the box. There were nice little triangles to the byline and dinking it back across goal. There was quite a few of them. It's just a shame we didn't have that instinctive, clinical striker there to finish it off. And on another night, it could have been a much heavier scoreline. Then 80 minutes, Embo did come off and Diamond come on as well at a bit of a run out. Diamond towards the last stage of the game, just after the 90-minute mark, or even more than that, I think it was like 94, 95 minutes. He drives at him coming in from right to left and he gets hacked down by the keeper to give us a penalty. It was a blatant penalty. McGeady steps up and he makes it 2-0 to round off the game. So it was a simple result, but my main take from that is we do have the ability and the players to play an attacking style of football and dominate games that we should be dominating. It's just having those players on the pitch and having that mentality and that confidence, because tonight I feel like a lot of players were purely only confident because of the opposition, and that is slightly disrespectful to Port Vale, but they should be able to do that on a weekend against Wimbledon. Do you know what I mean? Or against Aki Stanley. They should be able to do that, but they haven't been doing that. And again, like I said, if we had anyone of a prolific nature or a clinical nature, a natural striker up top, that would have been the battering it should have been, really. Because if you look at the stats on everything, we had 70% possession. I think we had like 20 plus shots. and to their sort of 4 or 5 shots, 15, 16 corners, whatever it was, and they had no corners, whatever. Again, stats are stats, so they don't mean everything, but we dominated the game, and it should have been a lot more than what it was. So I'll take it as a positive. We're through to the quarterfinals now, which is lovely, it's nice, but the focus is on the league, and hopefully we can take that into the league. And Power should never go into centre of midfield again. He should be a right back, because I thought he was very good. So I'm actually going to give Power some praise. He looks very good at right back. He's actually very positive. He's forced into doing something. He's forced into action. He can't hide as a right back, and he's actually quite attacking as well. He looks solid defensively, of course, and getting forward, he links up, and he put some decent balls in this evening. So I will give him some praise. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. So you guys let me know down below in the comments, what did you think of the game, and your man of the match and all that kind of stuff. I can't really give a man of the match, to be honest with you, because I feel like everyone sort of put in like a 6 or 7 out of 10 performance. I don't think anyone stuck out as a sort of terribly bad performer. I think it was a decent performance that we come away with a deserved win. So yeah, anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, please hit the like button for me. It'd be massively appreciated. And subscribe to the channel if you're not already to become a fully fledged member of the Sarny Army. But for now, you take care and stay jamming.